Howdy and welcome to a special edition of the Virtual Book Festival recorded on March 24th, 2020. This is produced by Book Festival Network, a division of Dear Texas and Dear Indy. This show is sponsored by Authors Marketing Guild. We're a membership-owned company that helps authors learn how to market and sell themselves. Also by IndieLector.store, the only bookstore that offers up to 80% of its sales to authors directly. And produced by Dear Indy and Dear Texas, where we drop everything and read both Texas and Indy. This episode, we introduce you to Sharon C Jenkins.
My name is Sharon C Jenkins. I'm the master communicator, and I am in good old Houston, Texas, and I am having the time of my life between these four walls that I live in, and I hope you're having the time of your life too. I've written nonfiction for a good 10 years, and my focus has been primarily on helping authors do what they do. So I am an expert at helping you establish a good foundation so that you can have an excellent finish. So what I do is I write books for authors. Isn't that wonderful? Don't you think that's wonderful, Alan? Can you hear me, Alan? Oh, he must have himself on mute. Well, anyway.
I did, ma'am.
This is the first book that I wrote for authors, and actually this is the third edition, the Business Startup Manual for Authors, Authorpreneurship. And I wrote this book simply because a lot of people did not understand that there was another component of writing, which is the business side of writing. And before you actually sit down with a pen in your hand to write that next best-selling novel, what you would need to do is to, think about the process and develop what your mission and your vision is for the book. And because so many people just sit down and they take the pen and they start, or they sit at their iPad, or they sit at their PC or their Mac, and they just start typing that novel, it's best to figure out what it is that you want to do as an authorpreneur. Because obviously, especially if you're writing a nonfiction book, you're writing it for a targeted audience. And when you do that, you want to make sure that your message is available to the people that you're writing to. So you have to test the market, and you have to start thinking like an entrepreneur. So authorpreneur is the combination of the two words author and entrepreneur. And when I first started talking about this, it was about a good 10 years ago. And people were asking the question, well, what is an authorpreneur? Did somebody try to take two distinctly different words and marry them together and make up a word? No, it is actually a word that encompasses everything that an author does. So I decided to write the Authorpreneurship, the business manual, business startup manual for authors, simply because I saw a need. They didn't stand up. The authors didn't. And I was like, what is going on here? We are entrepreneurs because we have to run our authorship like it's a business. And so in this book, what I did was I addressed some things that I felt that were pertinent to authors establishing a good foundation as business owners. And I talked a little bit about what the meaning of entrepreneurship was or is, and how it correlates with your establishing a startup business. And I also talked about, what the difference was at that time between self-publishing or traditional publishing, and also the opportunity to use a hybrid method, just the basics of authorpreneurship. I talked a little bit about time management and how it's important to set up a time schedule, a writing schedule, so that you can, get her done, as we say here in Texas, but also a time management schedule so that you can meet your goals and your objectives. You don't want to spend several years investing in writing a book and then have no reward. So you have to designate what are your goals and your objectives for writing the book, and how are they going to best serve you and serve your audience. And a lot of times we forget about that because that's really important. But we don't think about that because we're so wrapped up in the writing process. And you should be wrapped up in the writing process. But writing or entrepreneurship is a lot more than writing a book. And then you have to think about your product. Hello, everybody. Hi, Mike. Hi, Ann. How are you doing? You have to think about your end product. What is it going to look like? What do you want it to look like? What's attractive in your genre at this particular point in time? And then the actual craft of writing. I put some key pointers in the book about that. And then how to get your manuscript ready. And then evaluating your literary assets and liabilities. And one of the things that I love to do is to put together a little quiz to help you determine what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, so that you can find ways to complement your weaknesses and ways to amplify your strengths. So we looked at your education, your experience, your exceptionality. What makes you different from somebody else who has written a similar book? And you need to identify that early on in the process. And I talked a little bit about branding, but one of the most important things that is in this book is establishing a team. The people that are going to come alongside you to help make your book a reality. And I talked a little bit about how this particular process is similar to hiring somebody to, be an employee, how you have to go through the process of vetting that individual and making sure that they can see your vision and they're really genuinely on your team to see it come to fruition. And I talked about ways that you can financially support your dream. If you decide that you're going to self-publish, you're going to be responsible for all of the costs that are associated with the process. So how are you going to support that particular aspect of your dream? And I talked a little bit about that. And then I talked about developing strategic plans. Most small businesses start up with a business plan. Well, likewise, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to want to start up with a book marketing plan and all that wonderful kind of stuff that comes along with it. And also, I always advise people to do a book proposal in addition to a book marketing plan, because a book proposal makes you, how can I say it, puts you in the lane where you can see all of the elements that feed into your success. You get to look at your competition. You get to study your target market. You get to be realistic about the financial obligation that you're going to commit to in regards to making your book a reality. So that's what I love. That's why I put that in the book. And then I talked a little bit about marketing and social media mania. Well, you can't do anything if you're not on social media. I have a few people that I know who have tried that. Matter of fact, I have a couple of clients. Actually, I've had 3 clients that are 80 and above. And when it comes to technology, it's like, no, that's not my cup of tea. And I need you to do A, B, C, D, and E. And gradually I've grabbed their hands and I've walked them through the process. Now, are they social media geniuses? No, but they're no longer afraid of the computer. They're no longer afraid of the experience, and they see the value of being on social media. And then I talked about profiting from your passion. My friend Terry Whalen talks a lot about how you take baby steps before you actually do a book. And when you take baby steps, that means you might do a blog, or you may start writing some articles for some magazines, or those kind of things. You take those little baby steps. So that's why I put this wonderful book together, Authorpreneurship, the Business Startup Manual for Authors. Because when you go into the business of writing, you go into the business of writing. And my second book that I like to share with authors is, Are You a Super Author? And what I did was I went to 14 authors and I got their real life story, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the sensational, and they put it in chapters for me so that people could get a better understanding of the need for you to be an authorpreneur. And some of them are business people who wrote books and they had successful experiences doing that. And then others are writers who, who became business people simply because they saw the need to do so to meet their goals and objectives. And let me tell you some people who are in here. Joel Friedlander is in here. Matilda Butler, that is my memoir expert. Brian W. Smith, Sharon Norris Elliott, of course, W. Terry Whalen, Tyora Moody, Rochelle Carter, Nina Amir, Tom Blublaw, Cashel Kelly, Carla R. Cannon, Roxanne Heredia, Shirley R. Roth, Melanie Bragg, and of course yours truly, because I've had my own entrepreneurship experience. And nobody's story is a carbon copy of anybody else's story in this book. And they share the difficult times and they share the great successes that they had. Well, one of the things that I want to say in closing out my 15 minutes is, yesterday I had the opportunity of working with an author who has put together a photo book. And so what she did was she came to me with a bunch of photos that she's been taking over the last year. And it's the very first time that I walked an author through the process of putting a table book, photo book together. So we got to see her proof yesterday. All along, I've been sharing with her the different steps that she needs to take in order to market that book, in order to make this book a profitable endeavor for her. But the greatest gift that I got was to see her when she unwrapped that proof, and we both got to look at it at the same time. And it was utterly amazing. My goal and my aim is to make sure that you as an entrepreneur will have an experience like that. There are tons of people out there now who say, I'm the expert in this, I'm the expert in that, but they've not been in the trenches long enough to be an expert. And I don't know very many people. I know myself, when I was a little girl and I was trying to learn how to tie my shoes, it took me quite a few efforts in order to do it, to learn how to do it and to do it well. And so I say that when you are looking at writing a book, your primary purpose as an author is to make sure it's a journey that you want to go on. And that's why I wrote these books. 14 people telling their story. You know, this is reality TV in the cover of this book. And these are practical tips for you as a writer, as an author, as a wannabe author. These are practical tips. And I step outside of the norm I talk about the financial aspect and putting your team together. And yes, we do have some elements that will help you with the writing process, but the focus primarily in this book is on authorpreneurship and understanding the importance of authorpreneurship. I want to thank you for tuning in and listening to me today. I also want to say I have a radio show. I'm out of the studio, obviously, because of the COVID-19 virus, but I am still doing Facebook Lives on Monday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I love to talk to authors. So if you're interested in doing so, just send me an email at sharoncjenkins@gmail.com. And I want to thank you, Alan, for this experience. I got up, I put on makeup.
Well, I greatly appreciate you being here, Sharon.
I brushed my teeth. I did everything.
Well, human for the day. Yay.
Yes. So anyway, but thank you very much for the opportunity.
Authors Marketing Guild is a membership-owned organization designed to help authors succeed and learn how to better market and sell themselves and their books. Join us at authorsmarketingguild.com and receive so many benefits you'll wonder why you didn't join sooner. That's authorsmarketingguild.com.
Welcome to IndieLector.store, an online bookstore where the discriminating reader can find award-winning books. IndieLector.store is not a big corporation, so we can give up to 80% of the sales directly to the author. Help us support them by buying a great book at IndieLector.store. The 5th Annual Authors Marketing Event. 2 days of live seminars in marketing for authors. The only organization that certifies authors in marketing. Live and free to the first 100 authors registered. Sponsored by Bubblish, empowering authorpreneurs, and Indie Lector Store, paying authors for their fair share. Head to www.2020.authorsmarketingguild.com today.